My first internet stalking experience happened when I was only 16 years old. Back then, I was just rounding up high school, and I had just joined Facebook. That was the time Facebook was trending, and almost everyone in school had created an account on the platform. If you weren't on Facebook, you were counted as the boring kid. I grew up with very strict parents who didn't allow my younger brother and me to surf the internet as much as we liked, except when we were doing our homework. So I remember creating a Facebook account on my laptop and hiding it from my parents. Since I was young, dumb, and stupid, I didn't really care much about the people I added as friends or accepted their friends' requests. Though some of my friends were my classmates from school, 70% of them were total strangers I met online. About a week after I joined Facebook, I got a friend's request from a guy named Jack Sparrow. As of that time, I think Facebook allowed people to use fake names to open an account, and the guy was obviously imitating Captain Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean. Before he even sent me the friend request, he had liked all my pictures and commented on them, as well as some of my Facebook posts with friends. Speaking of pictures, as the crazy teenager that I was, I would upload at least 5 pictures of myself every day, because some of my friends were doing it, and I believed it would keep my account active. How naive. The same day after I accepted Jack's friend request, he sent me a message thanking me for accepting to be his friend, and then he mentioned how I would not regret being his friend. At first, I thought that was weird, but I didn't pay much attention to it because I was also excited to make a new friend online. That first day, Jack told me something about himself, his age, the high school he attended, and the things he liked. He told me his first name was Jack, but since he was a big fan of Captain Jack Sparrow, he decided to use the name on Facebook. Since I believed that Jack and I were age mates and we were both rounding up high school, I became very comfortable with him and shared some things about myself, which I ended up regretting. At first, Jack seemed like a very cool person. He was almost like my online bestie, with whom I could discuss anything. We talked about school and a couple of regular things. I'll be honest, I actually enjoy the process of getting to know Jack better. 2 weeks later, after Jack and I started talking, I realized that a day would not pass without him sending me a message, and if I didn't respond immediately, he would drop a lot of abusive messages and call me all sorts of degrading names. Now, I understand the part of him sending me messages every day because we had gotten quite close, and most nights we would stay up chatting, but the abusive part was what I never liked. Each time I told Jack that I didn't like it when he abused me, he would apologize and promise not to do it again. But he never stuck to his promise. It seemed like abuse was the only way out for him when things didn't go the way he wanted. There was a time I posted a picture of me and a guy, but did not respond to his messages because I had not seen them yet. That day, Jack called me the B word and said that I was cheating on him with another guy. Mind you, I wasn't even dating anyone, not even Jack, but somehow he believed that we were a couple because I talked to him almost every day. When it got to a point where I couldn't take his abuses anymore, I told Jack that I would block him, but he believed I was bluffing. So I proved to him that I wasn't and blocked him. When I blocked Jack, I thought that would end things, but I had no idea what would happen next. That same day, more than 6 new accounts sent me a friend's request, but I declined them because they were all new accounts, and I knew Jack was behind them. I also blocked his number from calling me, but he tried to contact me with a different number, which I blocked immediately. 2 days later, he stopped sending me friend requests with his new accounts, and stopped trying to reach out. I never heard from him again. That was my last time I shared my details with anyone on any social media platform. From Jack's experience, I learned that just because someone seems friendly does not mean they are mentally fine. I can't stop imagining what would have happened if I had actually shared my home address with him when he kept bugging me to tell him where I lived. I know it's pretty weird for a guy to say that he has been stalked online by another guy. At first, I didn't know I was being stalked until too many coincidences began to happen. This is my story. 4 years ago, I decided to be more active on Facebook and Instagram. I created the account several years ago when I had just entered college, but since I wasn't really a social media person, I abandoned both Facebook and Instagram and focused more on real-life activities. Sometimes in 2020, Some of my friends insisted that I revive my social media accounts so I could build a social media presence. They claimed everything revolved around social media, and I listened to them. I even created a LinkedIn account since they also insisted that it would give me a professional look. Since I believed that LinkedIn was meant for professional use, my Facebook and Instagram became the platforms where I could post pictures, talk about my personal life, and share other things I wanted to share. So, a couple of months after I became very active on Facebook, I noticed that there was a particular guy who would always like my pictures. In fact, one time, he dug into my posts and even liked a picture I had posted back in college, which was several years ago. That was how I got to know about the guy. I think a week or two after he liked that old picture, he sent me a message. When I saw his message, the name immediately rang a bell, and I responded to his message as soon as I saw it. After the guy told me a bit about himself, he told me I reminded him of a dear friend he had lost. Upon hearing that, I felt so sad for him because I had lost a loved one in the past, and I know how heart-wrenching it felt to love someone, but not see the person anymore. To show my concern, I asked the guy to tell me a bit about his friend, and he did. I expected that after that day, the guy would not send any messages again, but when he kept sending more messages about his relationship with his late friend and how much he missed him, I realized that the friend whom he had lost was actually his girlfriend, and he was gay. Even though I knew what he was driving at, I tried to be very sensitive, since he was talking about a deceased loved one. Honestly, I expected that after our conversation that day, the guy would not bother me anymore, but he began to ask very irritating questions like, "Have you been with a man before? Do you like men or women? Or are you bi?" At first I told him I was straight and I only loved women, thinking that he would leave me alone, but things only grew worse. He would send several messages, which I'd read and not responded to. You know, Facebook has a way of letting you know someone has seen your message. When he figured out that I ignored him, he moved from stalking me online to stalking me physically. The first time that creep stalked me in real life, I was at a shopping mall with my friends, only for this same guy to walk up to me and introduce himself. It was weird, because he was the last person I had expected to bump into. "Hello, I'm Sean, a friend of yours from Facebook." The guy introduced himself, and then he told me he had come to the shopping mall to grab some things he needed. When that happened the first time, I froze, but didn't think too much about it because I believed it was just a coincidence. Besides, I was at a big shopping mall, so it wasn't unusual to bump into faces you knew. Well, it wasn't until it happened 2 more times. I don't know how he did it, but he always managed to be at the same place I was at the same time, and when I noticed that it was no longer a coincidence, it made me very uncomfortable. To put an end to everything, I confronted him on Facebook, and that was when the online stalking and physical stalking stopped. "Hey Sean, I know you have been stalking me, and that's something I cannot tolerate. The next time I realize that you're stalking me, I'll call the cops on you and let them know that you have been harassing me too." This was the message I sent to him on Facebook. I threatened him and told him I would report him to the police if he didn't stop harassing me and stalking me. That was how the stalking stopped. I also blocked him on Facebook, and after that time, I never saw him again. I guess he took the threat seriously. Sometimes I wonder if I really reminded him of his late loved one, or if he was just lying and trying to emotionally manipulate me.